The Beaufort County Parks and Recreation Board. Before we start, if we can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, that'd be great. It's right behind you here. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thanks. All right, have a seat. Once again, before we kick it off, let's start off with some introductions, and let's do it online first in case we lose them. Who do we have online right now? Bruce, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, Bruce Yeager, south of the Broad, chairman.
Excellent. So thank you, Bruce. Is there anybody else on the line that I'm missing right now?
Eric Priester, south of the Broad.
Excellent. Thank you, Eric. Let's go to my right down here, sir.
Phil Kaiser, south of the Broad.
Ron Campbell, north of the Broad.
Will McCullough, Vice Chair, north of the Broad.
Carlos Cave, District AD, Beaufort County Schools.
Kenny Mack, north of the Broad.
Shannon, let's pop over to you.
Shannon Loper, Parks and Rec Director.
Antoinette Mack, Project Manager. Heather Plain, Senior Administration, Parks and Rec.
All right, so that's everybody that's connected right now. And once again, we know we have a couple people offline, so if we lose them or they come in and out, then that's to be expected. Right now, I believe all voting board members have in front of them a copy of an agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So room.
Excellent. I have a first motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we've got two. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Nay?
Aye.
Looks like aye across the board. The motion is approved. Are there any members of the public right now that are here that have any comments that they would like to share with us for the Parks and Rec Board? Okay, there's apparently not. Also, board members who are voting in front of you, you should have a copy of the September minutes. If you would, go ahead and take a moment to review those, take a look at them. And once you've had a few moments to do that, let me know if there's a motion to approve the minutes as presented, or potentially if you'd like to change any of those. So at your convenience, if you're a voting member, what I'm looking for is any amendments to those minutes, or failing that, a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
All right, thank you, sir. Is there a second?
I can second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion to approve the September minutes has passed. That being said, looks like we are moving on now to the director's report. I believe the first thing on our agenda with regards to the director's report is the downtown tennis grand opening, which everybody locally is very excited about. What can you tell us about that, Shannon?
They are, and also, Will, I do have, forgot to bring up, I do have amendment to the agenda
Okay.
that I did had to add to the slideshow. Sorry, I've been sick. For a fee that needs to be added for the rental of Buckwalter Rec Center.
Okay, so there is, does anybody have a motion to add to the agenda a line item to potentially approve or not approve the fee as mentioned by Shannon? Shannon, is there a motion to approve her add?
Move to amend the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, that motion to amend the agenda is approved. Why don't you start off that, Shannon, just to keep it fresh in our memory?
Okay, so the Beaufort Tennis Court update. As we know, the Beaufort Tennis Courts have finally opened. This was our grand opening ceremony that we had. Turned out great. We still have some things that are going on over there. We are currently going to replace the lighting there. The lighting was back ordered, so it took us a little bit of time. Some of the poles have been delivered. The rest of the poles will be delivered in January, and then those will be swapped out and we'll have upgraded lighting. I also plan on adding in the CIP this year for the, to have parking upgraded as well. So hopefully that's going to be the future. But right now, all is well. Everybody seems to be happy with them. Things are going along. We have hired a part-time tennis person that's out there, Donna Winland. Her paperwork's being submitted, and she's helping us with, bringing in tournaments and different things. So everybody seems to be real excited about the downtown tennis courts.
Yeah, there's definitely been a lot of local chatter from a hyper-local perspective about that. Everybody's very happy, so that's great.
Yeah. Bluffton pool update. So the pool is done, as far as the ceiling goes. As you can look at from the past pictures and then look at these pictures, it's daylight and dark. When it comes to, there's no rust, the beams look great, the roof is secured, everything's safe. So we are back to swimming. We have also added the inflatable days on Saturday at the Bluffton pool. So now we have inflatables north and south on Saturdays. Our seniors, I'm going to blow you guys up in a second with senior pictures. It's such an exciting program. As you can see, it is still growing. Bluffton, we have 57 now. Booker T, we have 47. Burton Wells has 55. Port Royal has 35. Scott Center 19, and St. Helena 36. This is a group of our seniors from our Port Royal location. As you can see, they're doing a little baking activity. This is also our Port Royal location when they went on a field trip. These are our seniors. Each of the seniors we've gotten their, they picked out their colors with their names on their shirt so they can be identified on field trips. These are our seniors that went to the senior day in Yamasee, and they had a dance competition. These are a set of our seniors from Burton Wells that went to the state fair. These are the seniors that went to the Cahill's Market and looking at the fresh produce. These are our seniors from, this is the Bluffton seniors as well. This is when they went to the museum in Savannah. These are our Port Royal seniors that went to the pumpkin patch. And these are a set of our seniors that went on a field trip. And this is our oldest senior, Miss Rivers, who turned 104. We had, on the next slide, you'll see WTOC came out and did a little thing on her, turning 104. She has 17 kids. And she wanted to ride a motorcycle the day of her birthday. So she got on the back of the motorcycle, and that's what she was able to do. These are our seniors from our St. Helena, where they did a table decorating contest. And these are our seniors from Port Royal. You'll see that they were decorating our Christmas trees, as well as their crafts that they made, and then they also collected gifts for one of the needy locations. These are our seniors at Burton Wells that had Santa come see them. These are our seniors at Scott that had Santa come see them. And these are our seniors in Bluffton and their little Christmas get-together that they did. This is more of the Christmas from there. This starts what we did is this year we had a big Christmas for all the seniors and invited each of the locations out. Springer Healthcare volunteered to do them a lunch. So we got together and brought them out to Burton Wells, and these are our little table settings that we did for each of them. This is their bingo table. And as you can see, these are them at the Burton Wells Center, all of them together. This is more pictures of them as they were coming through and getting their lunch. And this is just more pictures of them. So it was a great day. We had, we ordered the backdrop, as you can see, for the different people to take pictures with. We ended up having over 95 seniors that got together and came out that we did, that Springer did the lunch for and we decorated and did for. So they seemed to really enjoy it, got a lot of feedback on it. They felt like the bingo was kind of long, but, you know, with that many to have bingo for, you know, it was kind of a, but we did, we sang songs together, we did Christmas trivia, so it was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed it. This was our Christmas tree decorating contest that they sent out countywide, and our staff got together and we decided that we were going to do a low country theme for ours. We put our Christmas tree in a crab trap and put a little bag up with the oyster shells, and each individual ornament represented something from the low country, whether it was oysters, shrimp, Old Bay, boats, pontoons, the military, whatever it was. And we ended up winning first place for it.
Before you hit the next step on there, is there anything upcoming with regard to the senior program that we as a board should be aware of, or, you know, think about that we should be considering to vote on or whatever? Anything else outside of what's happened? What's coming up in the future of that we should be aware of, that we may need to?
Our seniors are actually doing really well. We're actually doing overly well. Didn't expect that we would take off the way that we have. As you know, and I explained to all of you guys before, we went through LOCOG and did a grant with them to run the senior program.
Okay.
Money is going rather quickly from that because of the rapid growth. So I will be putting money into next year's budget with the seniors. I think that we're maxed out on our grant amount. I don't think that they expected that we were going to do as well as we did either. But administration's been super supportive of it. They seem to be happy with the program, and, you know, anything that we've needed, administration has, you know, had our back to help us and support us, you know, with the senior program, so.
So far, our administrators mentioned the downtown tennis update and the Bluffton pool and the senior update. Before we move forward, anybody online, let's start here in person, anybody have any questions about what she's covered so far, or?
Yeah, I heard a lot of buzz about the Green Street. I call it the Green
tennis.
Street, but the tennis. And, you know, a lot of people are happy now. What they're saying, you know, if I see one here, I want to see some there. So why don't we going to do something somewhere else? I mean, they said, hell no, upgrade theirs to make it look good. So, but a lot of people had made some good comments about the park, and I ride through them. Look, it's really nice. Looks really nice out there. So
Yeah,
compliment you guys on that.
And we do have, of course, we do have the playgrounds that should all be in, hopefully, March and April at each of the facilities that we ordered them for. That'll be going in soon, so hopefully they'll see those. We did upgrade, I know the tennis courts were upgraded at Scott and St. Helena, and the basketball courts. So both of those were done as well. We actually did them throughout the whole county. They were behind in that a little bit, so they saw that. So hopefully the playgrounds, hopefully will start giving some smiles out there to the playgrounds that'll be coming in soon.
Excellent. Our online voting members, you guys have any questions or input so far on what Shannon has covered? No problem. If not,
I do.
I'm good.
we can silent.
Yeah, I'm good as well.
Cool, very well. So registration, what we got going on?
So registration, current sports winner, as you can see, this is our Beaufort, our basketball. 234, we're down only one, but we also have 17 on the wait list. So, you know, everybody seems to wait to want to get registered for sports, and that's just, you know, once we get them, we get the uniforms ordered, especially in today's, trying to get uniforms in time has just been rather challenging. So we hate leaving anyone on the wait list, but there comes a point that we almost have to just draw the line. Our Bluffton, our basketball, we're at 849. As you can see, we're up 186 kids and still left 24 on the waiting list. This was a year of explosion for our basketball in Bluffton. We're up 25 teams. spring youth sports registration began on January the 1st, which was 4 days ago now. Is today 4th? Okay, 4 days ago. I just got out of my staff meeting, and we already have 100 kids in 4 days registered for soccer. So we're moving right along as far as our programming goes. Adult sports registration begins November the 1st. Kickball, we had 82 players in 6 teams. Dodgeball was a 0. We keep playing around with dodgeball to see where we can move it. We are going to also, we haven't heard, in recent years, we didn't do kickball north of the Broad because there was a group that did kickball already north of the Broad. We haven't heard anything about that, so we were talking yesterday with staff, and we're going to advertise it next time north of the Broad and see what we get. And, you know, because we haven't heard from the group, they don't use our fields, and we don't know who to even reach out to. So we are going to attempt that and see what we can get. Tournaments.
Any questions on registration from any board members? Online or in person?
Shannon, basketball in Bluffton plus 25 teams, what is that going to do to practice times and other things in our gym? I mean, where are we at relative to capacity on a daily basis?
I don't know what we're going to do, Bruce. We're at total capacity with what we've got. You know, we were talking staff, and I was getting their input last week. Looks like we're going to be out there on some Sundays. Looks like we're just going to be playing around the clock here soon. I just don't know. You know, we're kind of in the situation that we were in, 10 years ago when we had one gym. We're just where we're at. I don't know what we're going to do. That was our biggest complaint.
Start? When do practice and games start? What's the season?
So games actually officially started Tuesday when we came back. Practices started in the beginning of November, middle part of November. So, with basketball, it's a little challenging with practice because you've got Thanksgiving and Christmas that falls in there. But we're just going to make the best of it. That was our biggest complaint years ago, is that the kids didn't get enough practice. So, as we progress and as we grow, we'll focus our practices more on the older than the younger, to make sure. But at some point, I don't know how we would branch back out to the schools again because they're using the gyms at the same time. So I'm not quite sure what we're going to do.
Thank you.
Any other input from
Got a
board
question.
members or questions? Yeah.
The basketball practice, y'all do share courts, right? One
We
team,
do.
one half,
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, that's gonna help.
And with the little kids, we even with the 4,
Inside.
yeah.
Okay. That's one question.
Excellent, thank you.
Tournament, so we had our flag football Pro Bowl with the Beaufort and Bluffton. Staff came up with that a few years ago that they wanted to do. Bluffton ended up winning the 7 and 8s, the 9 and 10s, and the 11 and older. The Beaufort program is definitely growing. We're super excited about it. They were very competitive. They don't have, the number of kids that we do on the south of the Broadside, but what we have on the north of the Broadside is definitely growing when it comes to flag football. So we're excited about that. Off topic a little bit, but we had one of the schools reach out to us, and they came to us about starting the older kids' female flag football because they do powder puff. Is that what they call it, Carlos?
It's called Powder Puff. So I'm aware of the school that you're referencing, and the district is actively looking into, because it is an NFHS sanctioned sport around the country. Georgia currently has female flag football, and that is the end game for South Carolina, but for this area, Beaufort area, all of the schools, there is interest by the female athletes to have flag football. We're just looking at it as a district, the club component, and how we want to tie it in with, of course, with PALS. So that's pretty much where we are, but I'm familiar with.
Yeah, so
that group.
they came and asked me about it, and, you know, of course, we want to support our schools. So, you know, when they asked me about doing it, because they talked about some of the sanctions and the issues with doing it as a club, and so we said, yeah, we'd be more than happy to take it on as a rec sport, for each of the schools. What our focus is if we can, is gonna be to keep the schools together, so that, Whale Branch, their team stays together, Beaufort High, you know. We also agreed that we'll work with them kind of along the same lines that we do Dixie Boys baseball. We'll wait till the school district's done with their season before we actually start our season. So to help them out in trying to form the program, we've agreed that we're going to wait till spring softball's over with. We'll do registration now, but we'll wait till spring softball and soccer is over with before we start the flag football season, so that the girls can play both and that they don't get left out. So we're hoping to be successful with that.
You just let me know, because that, like I said, the interest is definitely there.
Well, we're advertising it now, and Jeremy's going to get some more information out there. So if you can tell me how better to get into each of the schools, or, you know, if you could do that.
No, I will.
It is out there, so, yeah, we definitely want to support. And we know probably in 2 years, a year, it'll go away because the schools will end up taking it on as their own sport. And that's fine, but at least we've got girls that are going to graduate that don't get left out in the meantime.
So currently flag football, that is co-ed, or is it?
We just did the girls.
It's just girls.
We just did the girls, yeah, for the high school girls is how we've advertised it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. District girls soccer, 8U and 10U Bluffton won. District boys was 8U, 10U, and 12U Bluffton won, and then the 15U, the Beaufort County combined team that we combined won. And then the state championship tournaments, the 8U, 10U, and 12U Bluffton went to the state championships from the district, and they won, and then the 15U Beaufort County team won. The state championship boys, the 10U Bluffton won, the 12U Bluffton were runner-up, and the 15U Beaufort County combined team was runner-up. New hours, so we ended up with administration supporting us to give us additional staffing. We were able to open up so that we have recreation opened up on Saturdays and Sundays, both north and south of the Broad. Beaufort, we've got Lynn Brown open up on Saturdays from 8 to 4, and Burton Wells open up on Sundays from 8 to 4, and then Buckwalter Saturday and Sunday from 8 to 4. So we are open for the kids on the weekends. This is where the agenda item came in. So to set the fee, administration has instructed us that they would like to see the Home and Garden Show back at Buckwalter this year. We haven't had it there in 3 years, partly to do with COVID, and, you know, their contract had expired with us, and somewhat to do with our growth. We had so they've asked for, the Home and Garden Show will be March the 31st, April the 1st, and the 2nd, which was when the show actually takes place, which is a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And they will begin coming in on Tuesday, and we'll close the 4 gyms down. So they'll be setting up on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in preparation for the show to start on Friday, and it'll be on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we'll actually be closed Tuesday through Sunday in order for it to take place. So in the past, a fee was set before the board was assigned to set fees. The fee was set by administration in the form of an exchange for the floor covering. The Low Country Home and Garden Show paid for the floor covering for us. for 3 of the 4 gyms. So with that being said, if you guys can set a fee for them for the lease of the building, when we go to do all of our paperwork, then I'll have everything I need in order to do that.
So that said, obviously, you're the director and you deal with the nuts and bolts of this, and we may be ignorant to that. What is that fee or something comparable been to the past? If you ruled the world, what would your recommendation be for that fee and why? Because we're just making up numbers, and I don't like to do that.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what renting
So what is-
the
what is
building
it-
would
What is
be.
it shutting down? What are we losing by we as a county? 1 second, Bruce.
So, I mean, the gym members will move their dates. So they'll be, not able to use the facility from like Tuesday to Sunday, but we'll add those dates onto the year. If they have a month membership or they have a year membership or whatever it is, we'll go in there and add those to their memberships. So they won't actually lose any.
Okay.
They'll lose being able to work out that week, but not lose their money.
So you're asking us to approve a fee for that usage, am I correct?
Correct.
Online, Bruce, Eric, input before we go to the people here present?
Eric, go ahead. I'll follow you.
I was just going to ask, besides the gym membership impact, it sounds like there's a lot of behind the scenes work that may have to happen with you and your team. What does that impact look like? If you can quantify it at all.
We won't actually be, we won't be doing anything. They'll come in and they'll have their staff that'll do what they need to do. We as a team won't do anything. Either stay in our offices or, we may take our team out to do some catch-up work on different things that we do, but we won't be doing anything for the Holiday Garden.
I guess I'm thinking, Shannon, like computer work to extend all of the gym memberships out. I don't know how many members there are, but obviously you've got to deal with that extension. I don't know what that takes. Obviously, dealing with complaints from people who expect to be able to not have their workout routine interrupted, et cetera, et cetera.
That'll happen. That'll happen. But we'll get it done, but it will happen.
And then lastly, I guess my question would be well, I guess I'd have 2 questions more or less. The first one would be, is there any youth sports impacted by it?
Adult volleyball we'll have to not do adult volleyball, but because of the parking issue, we'll lose soccer. That Friday, Saturday, and Sunday we'll lose soccer practices because of the parking issue.
Okay. And then I lost what my last question was going to be. I'll turn it over to Bruce. If I think of my other question, I'll bring it up again.
Yeah,
Okay.
do it. Bruce, what you got?
So, just a couple of thoughts and comments. Little history. I believe that when we agreed to do this the first time, we were more on the front end, and they gave us the floor coverings, 3 of them, and those supposedly had a value of maybe $10,000 a piece or something like that. But it seems to me that the fallout that we had from having this at the facility, was somewhat palpable, both in terms of our constituency being inconvenienced, and then secondarily damage to our floors, I think, even though we have the covering on it. So I thought we had agreed to not rent the gym anymore for just about anything. And if I'm incorrect in that, let me know. But secondarily, I mean, the gyms are really for our constituency, and to take that size of a facility and take it offline for a full week that impacts programs in the facility and then outside the facility, that seems to me to be something that we probably don't want to do. Now, if it's already been agreed to do this, this is the first time hearing of this, we rent fields that are outside, and we look at all the schedules of everything else to limit impact. But if we're going to rent this, which I don't recommend doing, but if we've already committed to doing it, it seems to me that I think our fee was about $175 an hour for a gym. Am I correct in that, Shannon?
Bruce, I'll be honest with you, it's been so long since we rented gyms, I don't remember.
All right. So, question.
Yeah.
Is this, we've talked about, I mean, this is news to all of us, and there are constituents who are wanting to use that. Is this something that we have agreed to? And by agreed, I mean they have presented something, we've signed something, said, yes, you can use it.
So,
Because
I
I would be
received,
saying no. If it,
I received an email from the county administrator yesterday
okay,
that he had approved the use of the facility.
fantastic. Did they propose a fee for something like that? Or he said, yes, you can use it, and ask us what they're paying?
No. No, and fees, like, I know I've always had to come to you guys for fees. So it was kind of perfect timing for me to be able to come to you guys.
Have we rented gyms before? Can't you go back and look at past records to see what we rented gyms before?
It's been a long time.
It's been so
Yeah.
long ago.
Because
I
you
don't,
asked us to come up with a blanket figure, that's gonna be something.
Yeah, there's honestly, well, Robert's rules, I can propose a motion even as sitting as chair. I'm not proposing this yet, but it would be my opinion that we just can't make that decision off the top of our heads and throw out an arbitrary number. It impacts a lot of people who are doing things. Great, the county administrator said, good. You know what? I would propose a motion that whether it's Low Country Home and Garden or the county administrator, somebody should provide us with some guidance on what we should propose as a fee, and we can certainly vote on that, online or via email or meet for a special meeting. But until we have that information, I think we're doing everybody involved a disservice just to throw something out there arbitrarily. So my motion would be that we consider tabling this until somebody can give us some guidance on what would be an appropriate response for all parties involved. And we'd certainly be able to address that in a special meeting, even online, virtually, or over the phone in the next couple of days. I don't feel comfortable making this stuff up. And unless somebody has further comment, I make that motion.
The only comment that I would make, this is Eric,
There's a motion on the table.
is that,
Before we comment,
Discussion.
can you hear me?
yeah, we can hear you, but there's a motion on the table as described by myself on the record. Y'all can second it or shoot it down, but that's my motion. And then we can put it on for comment.
Well, technically, can't we discuss your motion?
Sure,
I mean-
I will table my motion for now and let's discuss. But before we go back online, everybody here's been sitting quiet. Anybody at the table have any input?
Well, I would suggest we come up with some type of a ballpark figure to recommend to the county administrator. That person or that office is probably doing the negotiating with the people that are putting on the Low Country Home and Garden Show. You gotta have something to go in with them, there's not, financially, Shannon, we don't lose that much money during those 6 days, do we?
I don't think we make money off of anything we do. I mean, we subsidize everything, so
we just can't make it up. I mean, what you're saying is right. How much money are we losing? We should go to the county administrator with a suggestion. How do we make that suggestion? Seriously. I mean, how do we do that? We can't. And we are putting people who are using this facility out, who are tax-paying members of the area. We can't just throw out, oh, $100 a day. I mean, if somebody wants us to do that, that's fantastic. But we need a little guidance.
But Will,
1 second, guys.
but Will, that is our role as the advisory board, is to set fees.
Eric, you're not.
And in the past,
Just give us a second.
and in the past, what they would have done is we would have been the decision maker on whether we would rent the facility or not. Somebody has overstepped that. And I beg the question of what's the purpose of the board then?
No, I mean, everything you said is right. I mean, we don't need to make a big mountain out of the molehill. This is a great thing. We just have people using it. But it's apparently been quasi-approved, and now we're supposed to say how much. I mean, how do we do that without a little bit of guidance? Do you want me to throw an arbitrary number out? I could, but before I make a motion, or anybody else does, anybody else on the table have input?
How much time do we have to make this decision on the fee?
We voted to put this on the agenda, so between now and us adjourning,
All right.
which is why I'd make a motion.
My
Go.
problem, and the reason I brought it forward is because it's gonna happen in March. You know, they need to know what they're up against, to be fair to them,
Mhm.
to know what their fee's gonna be, you know, before we meet again in March, without giving them 2 or 3 weeks' notice.
Yeah, and my concern was, give us some time, if we did have time to research and see what maybe Hardyville or Savannah or someone else rent their gyms out for and what their membership base is on, or go back to the county administrator and say, look, you got us in this predicament, but, you approved this, and first time we're hearing it, give us a recommendation number that
Exactly.
we can live with.
I mean, as you said, our job is research. No, it's not. Our job is not to research anything. Our job is provided facts and then make a decision based off those to the best of our judgment for the people we represent. We've been asked a question, we have no facts. It's not a big deal, but I think we could use a couple days and somebody could give us some input. I mean, you said they need 3 weeks. We've got 30 minutes to make this decision that we didn't know existed a couple minutes ago.
Right.
This is probably already in the works going,
Well,
as far as
Good. We'll come up with a
advertising
number.
they
start.
charged, for the floor coverings, what they dropped off.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic, it's in the works, and it's probably a wonderful thing, but we can't come up with my first question was, what would you recommend, because, and you don't have an answer, which is understandable. How do we know? I mean, and we don't wanna, mess anybody over. Before we keep going, trying to keep the circus going, let's just go around the board and see if there's any input, and let's see if there's a motion on the topic. Sir, anything further on this topic?
Nothing that. And now the research I was asking Shannon, not the board.
No, I understand that, I'm just saying, you're right.
But I'm good.
Well, that's why I asked the question, what were prior fees that we rented gyms for before? Give us some kind of guide to
If I
the
had to
scale
go
to go by.
back, if I had to go back and guess what we rented the gym fees before, if I had to go back, it would have been $50 to $75 an hour. But that's been
Per gym?
per gym. It couldn't have been more than $50 or $75 an hour.
Shannon, what do we rent a baseball field for?
40?
An hour? Or like if we were going to take the whole, didn't we look at something where we were renting out a whole facility at one point? Or a field?
Yeah, we've got the breakdown of the rentals right now is the small centers, or you could do up to 10 hours for an entire center, of those small centers for 500.
So to me, I would say each one of those gyms is probably like a small center. So, you have 4 gyms, that's $2,000 per day.
And then the conference rooms. So they'll have the 4 gyms and the 2 conference rooms.
Yeah. So whatever, you already have a rental fee for your conference room, so.
We do. That we do, yes.
Yeah.
$25 an hour
That's my suggestion.
per room.
Yes.
The conference rooms are $50 an hour if it's both rooms.
Bruce, what you got?
I figure,
Bruce?
Well, my comment was gonna be, we accepted in the past, roughly $30,000 of product spread over 3 years, which was $10,000 per year. If we look at, we're totally shut down for 6 days, and in following Eric's logic, which seems solid to me, we're talking $2,000 a day times 6 days, which is $12,000, which is 20% more than what we received in kind prior, amortized over 3 years. So I don't see how we benefit from this at all. The Home and Garden Show, other than being a quote unquote, good steward of the community, but that's an outside entity that would have to go to, a hotel and rent a hotel for a week. So, I'm thinking $12,000, is reasonable at a minimum.
All right, guys, so bear with me for one moment. So, there's nobody here, nobody's grandstanding or anything. This is just like something kind of dropped in our lap, and it's not that big of a deal. Like I say, it's all positive. But there's two things at play. One is we are not, it appears, voting whether or not to shut down access to these facilities to the public so this can go on. So my first thought is that would be, in my thought, the normal procedure. Do we agree to do this or not? The next is, if that is approved, is to come up with a fee. We're making stuff up. I don't like making stuff up. So here's what I would suggest. Take it for what little it's worth. Is at this point, we've discussed it. And if any individual member here has a motion, in a moment, you can put that forward. We'll see if there's a second and we'll vote on it. Failing that, I will make a motion that we table it until we have more information and address, as I mentioned earlier. And that's that. So, is there any motions from any member as to what a fee should be or anything else related to that from any member here?
I would move to be $500 per gym per day.
All right, there's a motion on the table that it should be $500 per gym per day. Is there a second?
I'll second that. Does that total come up to that 12,000 I was discussing?
I think
yes, it would, but we didn't consider conference rooms.
one thing we should consider
This
is,
isn't discussion. There was a motion and do we have a second
Yeah,
for
you
the
did.
500 per
I was just answering Bruce's question.
Yeah, I second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion that it's $500 per gym per day. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
how about some discussion?
We can,
Yeah, what about discussion?
we'll discuss it. Any discussion on that?
One thing we should keep in mind is, yes, we're gonna displace who are members and people who use it, but you're gonna be getting a lot of people in there who do not use, may not even know that the rec center exists. And so you're gonna get some good exposure, I think, because of the good facility that it is. So that should be worth a little bit something in its own right. And I don't know that we can table it, I don't think is the answer right now, because it's too short a notice. If this had been September, and they came to us and said, set a fee, and threw it in our lap at the meeting, we could have easily said, wait a minute, let's table this, come back to the next meeting, but coming back in March, that's not gonna go well.
Well, as long as we're discussing, when I reference the word table, I'm saying give them 2 or 3 meetings for a special meeting to reconvene online or whatever with some. But that being said, we do have a first, we do have a second. Any further discussion on this before we ask for yea or nay? Okay,
As
is
I
there
mentioned
any-
to Bruce in my answer to his question, the only thing we didn't consider was the conference rooms. But if we're including that in the fee for, or in this, if they rent all 4 gyms, they get the conference rooms, then I would be fine with that. But I think we should at least consider including those in that cost,
So
based on my experience in hospitality and doing rentals.
Are you amending?
I feel
are
like
you
we've
amending-
set a pretty good fee, but we just need to include the conference rooms.
Noted. So just to clarify, are you amending your second on, it's subject to also including the conference rooms? I'm not doubting that. I just want to clarify for the record.
I was not the second. That was Bruce.
Okay. So there is a quasi-motion on the table to amend the motion that it include the conference rooms as well as the gyms. So to put all the pieces together, I will make a motion, based off what we've heard so far in discussion, that it be $500 per gym, per day, correct?
Yes,
And that includes the uses of the conference rooms.
yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Well,
The way we got
Um,
1, 2, 3 ayes, we're voting right now. So there's 3 ayes.
so if I
I
vote.
said aye.
Okay.
Bruce said aye, we've got 4. All in favor, nay.
That was Eric.
Eric, are you a yay or nay?
I was the one that said aye. It was Eric.
So just because this is recorded, do we have 5 yays? Is that correct? Okay. All in favor, nay?
I'll affirmatively vote for it as well, but,
Bruce,
have to,
we'll have to go through the monologue in just a moment. We're in the middle of a vote. So we got 5 yays. All in favor, say nay. I'm a nay. So the motion passes for $500 per day, per gym, and that includes the use of the conference rooms. All right. I believe that next on our agenda is aquatics. Forgive me, guys, I mean no disrespect, we're just doing it the way it's cut out to do.
Hello. Here's our Battery Creek indoor pool information. Our pool hours are Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8 to 12, 1 to 7. Saturdays for our inflatables, 10:30 to 4:30. We offer our BOGA classes Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6:15 to 6:45. We have our school swim lessons for Battery Creek. We had them October 31st through November 17th. And then our patron check-ins, we had from July to December. July was 628 check-ins, August 680, September, because we have the swim team there, was 1,018, October was 423, November was 537, and December, we were closed a few days, was 80.
Excellent.
For our Beaufort pool on Ladies Island, our hours are Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 8 to 12, 1 to 7. Our aerobic class is Mondays and Wednesdays from 6:15 to 6:45. Our water aerobic class is Mondays and Wednesdays, 1:30 to 2:30. Our school swim lessons, they took place December 5th through the 15th, and the next one starts in March. And then the patron check-ins for July is 540, August 715, September was 553, October was 352, November 406, and December was 661. For our Bluffton pool, we are open Monday through Friday. Same is for the other pools, 8 to 12, 1 to 7. Saturday for the inflatables, 10:30 to 4:30. Our BOGA class is offered Mondays and Wednesdays, 6:15 to 6:45. Our water aerobic class is in the morning from 8:30 to 9:30, Mondays and Wednesdays. And our school swim lessons, they start in January from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Our Finn swim team is Monday through Friday, 2:30 to 7:30. And we also offer our Low Country Aquatic Foundation group, which is Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 5:30 to 7. Our patron check-ins were for October through December, 534. For November was 1,919, and for December was 1,471. Our outdoor pool, it was renamed from Lynn Brown. It got renamed to Alvin Settles. The pool is currently closed for our season. The renaming was pretty cool. I like that. The patron check-in for the summertime was from May through September, 394 for May. June was 1,688. July was 1,323. August was 526, and September was 102. The classes that we have coming up, we have private and group swim lessons that are offered year-round. We also have a stroke improvement class for adults that's offered year-round. Our CPR classes are by appointment. And then our next lifeguarding classes. We had one in November that took place at our Beaufort pool. We have one that's coming in January at our Beaufort pool, one in February for our Bluffton pool, and then one in March again for our Beaufort pool.
Before we move on to employee update, how are we doing on lifeguards? I know we've been short and trying to do and this and that. How's that looking? Obviously they tie in, but since we're talking about pools, how are we doing on lifeguards right now?
We definitely need more lifeguards.
Okay.
We've had people that are interested in taking the classes, but not that many have moved forward with us. We have had some, but we do need more.
Okay.
Any
Yeah.
other questions?
Any other questions on the pool stuff from anybody? Anybody online with questions specific to the pool topic?
With the Battery Creek pool, how much has the construction there impacted the numbers?
It definitely has impacted a little bit, because when people drive by, they think that we're closed because of the construction going on.
Gotcha.
But the locals that normally do come to that pool are still coming though.
All right, let's talk about employee updates.
The running banks for share.
Laugh about the lifeguard thing, because I hadn't even said this to Annie. I should have told her in our staff meeting a while ago, but I laugh thinking about all these fools that do this polar plunge. Maybe we should have been out there advertising, hiring lifeguards on that day. So admin, we're still looking for our facility maintenance guy. Aquatics, 6 full-time lifeguard positions are open and 2 part-time. Our maintenance, we have 8 positions to fill. Thankfully, we're not in the growing season, so we're, looking okay as far as handling. It's just keeping up with the maintenance and the pruning and stuff like that is where we're getting a little bit behind on. With that said, one of the things that I did go, about a month ago, I went to a demonstration in Savannah for the kind of like the Roomba vacuum, but the Roomba mowers. Looking at those that would, you would put them per field. What I liked about them is the fact that that mower wouldn't leave that field to go get weeds from, the parking lot to bring onto the field. You can actually set them so that at 2 o'clock in the morning, they come on, they cut the grass, they part themselves. The good thing about that too is they told us a story. They're all tracked automatically. So a guy down in Florida decides to break into a storage unit. He steals a mower. He leaves, and they caught him at a different storage unit with more than just the mower. So the mower actually paid off for multiple people in Florida. So, that was my concern is would someone come out at night and steal it? But you can actually set it. It stops itself. It seems like that you're taking away from the employees, but at the same time, I see it as giving them more time to do other things that are needed. There is no gas, no oil to put in, and the blades are all replaceable by each individual. They're about 3 inches long, and they're $5 a month to replace. So we're definitely checking into them to see, what direction we're going to go with that. Our seniors, we have one program full-time supervisor to fill. Each of our centers has people. We are either going to fill this one as a fill-in for when we do have people that are off, go on vacation. That's been a little bit of a struggle for us. But we're also possibly looking at maybe trying to start a senior program at the Lynn Brown Center. Our rec aides, we have 6 positions to fill. And our next meeting will be Thursday, March the 2nd in Bluffton.
Excellent. Not the normal way I would do this because it's not on the agenda, but before we ask for a motion to adjourn, is there anybody, board member, we voted on what we have, so there's nothing else we can take action on as regards to a vote. But before we look for motions to adjourn, any voting member of the board have any input or public comment that they want to make based off anything we talked about today? I'm saying we're not going to entertain a vote, but if you've got something you've got to say, here's your chance to say it. Let's start with my right, sir. Anything?
Shannon, what is the story with this land exchange you're talking about between St. Mary's and?
So I haven't been involved in that. Chuck would have had to fill you in on that. I know that we had talked about it. They had come forward with doing that. It was, a great thing for us because if we can give up Camp St. Mary's where they don't want active parks, looking at that land there would be a great place for us to build more ball fields up. And he is just in time. Hold on a second. You're just in time.
Yeah.
A land exchange he's asking about.
Just to clarify, we're not voting, we're just finishing up, but before we adjourn, just each board member is just putting some things out there.
Apologize that I had to leave earlier. I was booked for 2:33, and then just got out of that meeting, so apologize for having to walk out. So the land swap, where are we? It went to public facilities back in October. It went to council. Council deferred it to rural and critical. We met with rural and critical first part of December. The rural and critical board said that they wanted to go out and tour the properties. I did that this morning with the Rural and Critical Lands Board, number of staff, and a few council members. They are going to weigh all of that information. They're going to meet again next Thursday, and depending on how that comes back, we'll get a recommendation. Then on the 23rd, we're going to go back to county council and ask for a decision on the resolution based on the recommendation coming out of rural and critical lands. What we're asking for is take lands that are in the inventory now that are not part of rural and critical and swapping those for lands that were purchased by rural and critical for the purposes of protecting water quality in the watershed right off of 170 in what's known as the New Leaf and Evergreen tracts. It was built specifically for that. There was a lot of discussion about how much of the property the Rural and Critical Board wanted to purchase back in 2016. And the landowner at that time said either you buy all of it or you buy none of it. So we as staff think that it is very possible to accomplish the water quality goals, do the land swap, and then develop some of the needed county infrastructure on portions of that larger piece. So that's where we are. We're hoping by the end of this month we'll have a definitive answer. So.
Awesome. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Sir, anything from yourself?
I don't have anything.
Sir?
Well, I'll tell you about, I have a question about the pools in the district, that MOU. Is it coming, because that was brought up in a meeting at the district office, and I made them aware, so I wanted to find out
So
what that entails.
I'm sure that we're gonna, the contract does expire, so yes, we are gonna have to reevaluate and look at the contract.
Okay.
To be able to tell you what anyone wants
Yes.
at this point, that has not been discussed that I know of.
Not specifically for the renewal of the contract. So the contract is 25 years. I think it was signed in 2000. So in December of, it's either December of 24 or 25, that's when it's going to have to be renewed. We have met with school district personnel talking about different options for the pools over the past few years. The indication that we've received, not speaking for anybody, is that the school district does not want to be in the pool business. That's not what they want to do. So the sense that we got is, hey, the school district wants to continue the relationship, nothing formal to that end yet, but we expect that we're going to continue that relationship. Right now, we have $4.5 million in a capital fund specifically allocated to fixing the structural deficiencies and replacing the mechanical systems, and then doing some other repairs after that. So it's our goal to keep them, maintain them, refurbish them, and then renew the relationship that we have, which I think is extendable as long as both parties are amenable. I don't think we have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to agree to extend it, and then I think there's a clause in there that says we can go for another 25 years.
So with the amount of pools, we're actually talking about Battery Creek, Beaufort High,
And MC Riley. There's 3 of
MC
them.
Riley, okay.
Yeah, that's right.
MC Riley is indoor or outdoor?
All three are identical.
Identical.
Yeah, the only outdoor one we have is at Charles Lynn
Charles,
Brown,
okay.
and that's in the city. That's not on school district property. So we're also researching ways to find funding to build additional lanes somewhere in the county, but I don't know what that looks like yet. But we do need more capacity, specifically south of the Broad. We need more pool lanes, but that's very early in the conversation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sir, any further thoughts or questions for yourself? Once again, the reason I mentioned we can't vote is we can't vote for anything unless it's on the agenda. But, and actually, we shouldn't even have this moment, but who cares? So just a moment for everybody to ask whatever they want to ask.
Thank you, appreciate that. My pet peeve is, there's definitely a need for a recreational facility on St. Helena. And you guys heard me talk about this long and drawn out. But since we have a somewhat relationship, and Carlos has a new position here, congratulations on that. I'm sure we can get together, Shannon and myself, Carlos, principals, and we can kind of have some type of relationship with the gym that's in Helena. It's an elementary gym, and it's not being used, to me, for the capacity. During the summer, I know when ladies out on the B5 have a issue with their gym for maintenance purposes, they go and use it, Helena, but we can have some type of rec program, because there's nothing there. And I look at the numbers, Bluffton, I look at the numbers in Beaufort, and I look at these numbers, and the kids need something to do. If not, the police gonna have to try to maintain them. And there's definitely a need, and I'm sure if I gotta get involved and go beat the doors at the principal office and we come to a meeting, we definitely need to have something. There's a lot of money going tossed around, but we don't see any on that end. Not saying it's being spent over there, but, and the public hasn't seen any. There's 2 groups I've been invited to. One is trying to purchase some land for a recreational facility in St. Helena, and the other one is trying to get a startup with donation and funding. So if we can all come together, I know Bruce and I talked about this a little bit, and have a relationship where we can at least have 2 nights, 3 nights a week for a facility in St. Helena, I would greatly appreciate that.
Is that a possibility of an agenda item for next meeting, that we could just have a discussion of things that we could do north of the Broad on St. Helena to enhance their access to county parks and rec facilities that may not exist at this time? Just a discussion. Because
Yeah, sure.
technically,
I
we
mean-
can't really just throw things out there right now, but I think he's got some valid concerns. Is that something we could talk about as an
Right.
agenda item for our next meeting?
So we do have facilities on St. Helena,
Mhm.
right? It's not a large indoor gym. We only have 2 gyms north of the Broad, Charles Lynn Brown and Burton Wells. That's it for all of North. So there's nothing in Sheldon, there's nothing out in that area, and there's nothing on St. Helena, right? We're working diligently to find funding and to research what it would take to build that type of facilities in both of those areas. Coming up with the amount of money it takes to build something like that, $10 to $15 million is not easy to do, especially when you have all of the other high growth areas in the county. It's not insurmountable, but it's difficult. Would we like to be part of that conversation? Absolutely. As far as the school district and what the school district will allow the community to do, that's not a county function, that's not a Parks and Rec function, that is a school district function. That is something that the community needs to address with the school district. They're their own entity. Even if we want to use school district property, we have to, I believe, pay to use it. We're on a, there's an agreement there, but we have to pay to use it. So the county doesn't have an in, if you will, on that. That needs to be a community issue that needs to be addressed with the school district. But I'm happy to be part of it and facilitate any way I
A good
can.
question would be, could we have a conversation about how we could potentially enhance properties that fall within our realm on the St. Helena or Seabrook area, but St. Helena specifically, existing properties, or the things that we can do to enhance the usage of those out there?
We had that before, and Shannon can verify that. We had a rec aid out there from the county. So that's why I'm just going back to something that was in.
I'm happy to be part of that conversation.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, then, and keyword conversation, can that just be a agenda item for discussion on our next meeting? Just to see what type of opportunities we could do to better serve that segment of our local constituency.
Sure.
And maybe there's not an answer to that, and maybe it falls out of our realm, school districts. But, it's not the first time that's been mentioned, and maybe we can't technically even talk about it because it's not an agenda item. Let's brainstorm and kick around a little bit.
Right, I mean, facilities and maintenance and the use and all that stuff, it's all part of the agenda. It fits, right?
Understood.
It does. Sure. I mean, we do have a lot of facilities out there. I think the indoor gym is probably the outstanding piece to that. We have a number of ball fields. We're in conversation with other groups that we currently lease properties with out there to renew the lease and to refurbish some of those properties. So it's not in any way, shape, or form that nothing is happening in those areas. There's a lot of money. Oh, I know.
Nobody's saying that.
Right, but there is a lot going on there, and the indoor aspect of that, sure, we're happy to help with that conversation.
Well, we know that we're catching you off guard with that as discussion, but next time we won't be.
Sure,
We'd love
absolutely.
to have that as an agenda item. Let's talk about what we can do to better enhance that. That's
You
fine.
bet.
It's just-
Isn't that one of the things that the master plan group is working on, is improvement to facilities, adding facilities? I know the one session I went to, that was one of the things they talked about, was what additional facilities were needed.
That is the
In
point
different
of
parts
that,
of the county.
and we are on them constantly. They're working through all of their processes. It's a very involved process. They've had some staffing issues starting back in October. They had delays. We added layers of complexity, in particular with the Charles Lynn Brown, we added different things to the contract, but we're hoping very soon to have all of that wrapped up and have that presented. The sooner the better for us, but they are working on it. But yeah, that's the point of it.
By email.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a lot more detailed than I ever dreamed it would be, than just having meetings. They meet with every single staff member. I mean, it's very, very, very detailed.
And that's what we want.
Well, in our little segment of the world, as the Board of Parks and Rec, if there is something that we could potentially have a part in doing better, we would love to have that discussion as an agenda item in our next meeting. Eric, let's go to you online. You, before, it's like the casual, not on the agenda, throw some stuff out there. You have anything else to add, Eric, before we adjourn?
I do not.
Thank you, sir. Bruce?
Yes. So I've got a couple things. The first thing being a review of the report. I think is going to go a long way to put the foundation down for further discussion there. So, I don't think we should necessarily put the cart before the horse there. So, I would recommend that when we get that report, are we going to be debriefed on that by them? And then from that point, make those decisions how we might be able to, continue to interface with other entities and to provide better opportunities north of the Broad. So that would be my first comment. My second comment goes back to the motion that was approved. I just want to make a comment on that in regard to the rentals for the Buckwalter. I don't think this is something we want to do on an ongoing basis. I think the number that we put up there is a fair number, but I would want, to be clear with that rental rate that, you know, we're renting the space only. Any labor, any removal of waste, anything else is all on, the Home Builders Association, whoever's putting on the show. So that would be a net after cost to, Parks and Rec. And my presumption is that rental fee then, Shannon, you might be able to comment on that, would just go into our general receipts and rec, Parks and Rec.
Goes into the general fund, yes.
The general fund, but it goes into Parks and Rec general fund, is that correct?
It goes into the county general fund.
Well, I mean, since it's totally, I mean, every revenue that we receive and every fee that we receive from putting on programs, right, it goes to us, right? It doesn't go into the general fund, it goes
in the general fund.
But we're funded out of it.
But we're funded out of the general fund, so it all
Okay.
goes into the general fund.
I just want those $10,000 to find their way back into our Parks and Rec budget. That's all I'm saying. Maybe it's not possible, but.
Okay.
Just to clarify, it's 12,000.
Clarify, that's one of the reasons it's always good.
Yeah, correct.
Not
Yeah, my bad.
fire aim, but we did. Very well. Is there, I believe that's everything on the agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'm motion to adjourn.
Excellent. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, aye? Any opposed?
Aye.
The motion is adjourned. Thank you, staff and board members.